Madden and Benz Unfiltered for this Monday. Tim Benz and Mark Madden with you. Glad that you are with us. Mark, did your power go out like mine did on the north side today? Did you have any issues?
I don't know. I mean, I had issues getting into the stream just now, but my clocks still appear to all be the correct time, so I think I'm okay.
Is Clipper one that gets upset at thunder and lightning storms? Does the cat get thrown off by thunder and lightning?
Yes, I conquer that by shutting the door to my bedroom.
And let her deal with all the elements on the outside. Let her neurosis take over.
She's all right.
Mark, are the Penguins going to be all right? Or have they gotten themselves in a sticky situation here with the rest of the Metro? It was an interesting day yesterday with the top four teams all playing each other. Penguins lose 5-1 to Carolina. Sorokin, a shutout for the Islanders. And I think there's something in there with the goaltending, don't you?
I think the Penguins' goaltending subpar and has been, I would say, certainly since the return from the Olympic break and maybe dating back further than that, especially Skinner. Skinner's 1, 2, and 5 in his last 8 starts, and his goals against is up over 3.5. That's just unacceptable. And either they got to ditch the rotation, lean more heavily on Shiloffs, or what I would do is call up Sergei Morozov from Wilkes and stick him right in there. I think it's a risk worth taking. I think it's a risk that would have been worth taking weeks ago, maybe months ago, but they're just simply not going to do that because their plan for him, for development, for this season was to keep him in Wilkes the entire campaign, much like the Pirates with Konnor Griffin, that it was predetermined he was going to AAA to start the season no matter what.
To be clear, Mark, and we'll get back to Griffin, you would be in favor of not only calling Morozov up, but going with 3 goalies on the roster and then scratching one per night, right?
Yes, and that goalie would be Skinner. I would use a rotation of Morozov and Shiloffs and do that with an eye toward leaning on Morozov more and more. If they don't call it Morozov, then they have to lean on Shiloffs more and more. You can flip Skinner over. He's done on this side. He just looks awful. And I know everybody said about all those great saves he made in the overtime loss at Carolina. He let in 6 goals. That's too many goals.
I wrote about this a little bit on Friday. My view of the goaltending is similar to yours, Mark, but, you know, I looked at it back then before the weekend, and it did crystallize over the weekend some for the reasons that we're talking about, particularly with Skinner, that, you know, the plan being, like you said, for Morozov to incubate for another year in the AHL was all well and good, but, you know, which side of the argument are the Penguins going to pick as to why they did it? Because they didn't want him to get bad habits and get cooked up here behind a bad defense early in the year when he was called up and the Penguins were playing their worst hockey? Or, you know, if they are now in a playoff position and he's their theoretically best goaltender, well, then call him up then, because you very well could make the playoffs or you could play your way out of them right now.
He's their best goaltender. Everyone in the organization knows that. Some will say it off the record. He's their best goaltender right now. And keeping him in the minors all year was predicated on them being like a bottom 5 team and him not getting shot full of holes and him not being able to help enough at the NHL level. But all that's changed, so that predetermined plan should change as well. But here's another thing to consider, Tim. That is a fragile dressing room. Nobody really likes to say that, but it's very veteran-oriented, very thin-skinned, and I'm not sure what the pushback would be if they, you know, scratch Skinner and put Morozov in the rotation.
Would you say it's an overly protected locker room, too? Like the franchise coddles the players too much in that regard?
I'm not sure if that's the case in the Dubas era, but I think that's a carryover, yeah.
Yeah, the carryover from like going back even before Fenway Sports Group.
The Sullivan era.
Yeah.
It was very protected during the Sullivan era. I mean, even shielded from the GM at that point. I mean, the GM, well, you see, in sports now, the GM doesn't have the input I think he should in terms of playing decisions, lineup decisions, deployment decisions. I think if the GM shops for the groceries, he should have input in how they're prepared.
So you didn't want Kyle Dubas walking through the locker room like Moneyball. Hey, work on that slider, Huddy. The only time we saw a reference to the pitchers in the entire Moneyball movie.
No, I don't want the GM in the dressing room, but I want the coach to listen to the GM.
No, I hear. Well, that was a rub with Sullivan and Rutherford over the years, right? Especially with some guys, some of the enforcers that were acquired by
when
bigger
they got
guys.
Reeves.
Yeah.
Rutherford. Well, you see, here's something that just came to light to me recently. Rutherford didn't really want Reeves, but he saw the value. Sullivan saw no value in Reeves at all. Lemieux wanted Reeves. The ownership wanted Reeves. that was one of the rare times where ownership had major input on a player decision because he just thought it was necessary. The ownership group, Morehouse and so forth, the executives thought it was necessary to protect the stars, which had never been done dating back to Mario.
Sticking with the Penguins, Mark, if there's one positive, and I think it's a significant one, certainly has been, it's Erik Karlsson's rebound season this year. Is that all Dan Muse, or is that Karlsson allowing himself to be Karlsson because Sullivan ain't here no more?
More the latter. Dan Muse has one great qualification when it comes to Erik Karlsson, and it's that he's not like Sullivan. But Carl has just played great. He's carried the team recently. And that leads me to another thing. I think Sid and Gina were playing okay. They're over a point per game since returning from their respective peccadillos, but they're not taking over games. If this team's going to make the playoffs, them two need to start taking over games.
I'll give you something else about the Penguins as well as the playoffs approach. And one popular refrain from Penguin fans is reason for optimism why they can make noise in the playoffs if they get there is that what's been keeping them from securing a berth largely has been their play in overtime and shootouts, and that they're better 5-on-5. You look at their goal scoring 5-on-5 heading into the weekend. I know they were 4th in the National Hockey League in goal scoring, but they are 19th in goals allowed 5-on-5. Their special teams have been quite good, 2nd and 4th respectively for the power play and the penalty kill for a large swath of this season. That said, Mark, the power play has allowed a lot of shorthanded chances and a couple goals here lately, and that's become an alarm bell.
Well, Gino back on the power play is why. He just takes too many risks, and he's playing up high and has no concern for defense at all. I'm not blaming him. That's how he plays on the power play. That's how he's always played. But that is an unfortunate side effect. And the PK allowed 3 power play goals yesterday and looked just horrible. So, yeah, they got to pick it up. This is the time to be good, not cite numbers that are good because you did good in November.
Yeah, and then the other side of that coin, too, is, we can talk about the special teams all we want, but just like 5-on-5, just like 3-on-3 and the shootout are not part of the equation in the playoffs, you don't get as many special teams opportunities in the postseason. So your power play especially isn't going to be the determining factor as often in the postseason because they just don't call penalties, especially in overtime situations.
Yeah, no question. Just like we say that, we won't have to worry about 3-on-3 overtime or shootouts in the playoffs. The special teams won't be as big a factor in the playoffs. Although to be honest, when you get less power play opportunities, the ones you convert become even more impactful. So that's not totally true. You still got to, seize momentum and obviously score goals, but it's not as often a factor. It's probably a more accurate way to put it.
Mark, when I filled in for you last week, I threw up a web poll online, and we talked about it on the air a little bit. Which of the 3 teams beyond Carolina in the Metro is most likely to be left out of the playoffs? Almost no one voted for the Islanders. Most people thought the Islanders would be in. The Penguins got about a third of the votes, and then about half the votes, a little bit more than that, went to Columbus. That people just think eventually Columbus is going to peter out. Is that your belief as well, or do you think it's the Islanders, the Penguins who fade out?
I think you could pick 2 of those 3 names out of a hat for the 2nd and 3rd spots in the Metro. But if you put me to a choice, I'd say the Penguins will finish 4th. I just think they're fading. I think their old players start to look old. Their goaltending's fading. They gutted it out with Sid and Gino when they were out, but now they're exhaling and the look ain't good. And again, the goaltend, like Skinner yesterday, I know he couldn't have stolen that game because the Penguins got outplayed from pillar to post by Carolina. But the second goal, well, first off, the first goal was because Muse, and he's done well as coach, but he started the 4th line of bottom pair defense. Why do you do that? Graves, penalty, power play goal, 1-0 right off the bat. And then the second goal was a shot from the point. And where I was sitting, I was in the stands. I was right behind the shot. Unscreened, middle of the net. Bad goal to allow. 2-0, game over.
Sorokin, to me, could be a real thorn in the side of that equation because he's got 7 shutouts already, Mark. We're talking about the Penguins' struggles goaltending-wise. That's the foundation for the Islanders. It's the inverse for them.
Yeah, and that's why I would call Morozov up. But I hate to talk too much about it because they're just not going to. But that's the risk they should take to try to make it. Because, Tim, they are cascading toward the worst result possible, which is to finish just out of the playoffs, get no playoff revenue, have the older guys disgruntled because they're not in the playoffs for a fourth straight year, and you don't get that high draft pick.
Of all the good things that Dubas has done, one that I just don't understand is Kulak for Girard. How about you?
You know what? I thought that was a sideways move. I mean, Kulak has turned out to have played better here than Girard has, but you got a second-round pick. I get it. You're still thinking about the future.
Yeah, I get the second-round pick.
It's one of those moves, Tim. I can't say it was a bad move now because I didn't think it was a bad move then. But
Yeah,
Girard, I mean, maybe I had to see him to realize I've rarely seen a defenseman play smaller than him. It's amazing how small he plays.
No, that's a good point. You talk about the spinorama stuff. There seemed to be an odd number of pucks that go back unexpectedly towards the goalie when he's in his own end. Just weird stuff like that happens. And Kulak, I thought, was good for Letang. And to your point about the second rounder, yeah, it's a nice asset to have, but they've got so many of them. Does it not get lost in the mix, especially if they're so reluctant to ever trade the assets that they have?
No, but I still get it. You know what I mean? Like, you make good points, but at the time I thought it was a good deal because I thought Girard coming from Colorado on a good team would be better than he is. There are two things that I suspect might be a problem with him. One is you don't understand that Pittsburgh ain't Colorado, and he's kind of playing the same way, which is to say not very cautious. And the other is I think he thinks he's a lot better than he is.
By the way, they got Ottawa coming up after Colorado, and all Ottawa's done here of late is win 7 of 9. Like,
the Penguins are in real trouble. Make no mistake about it. They're 50-50 to make it, but that's big picture. In terms of what I would predict right now, it's that they do not make it. And I'm hoping for them to make it, but I'm just telling you what I see.
The Ottawa thing, that was when you looked at maybe the schedule coming back, that was the soft spot after Winnipeg, but they're playing great. And then they got 3 playoff teams, I think, after that. They don't have a non-playoff contender really until April 2nd, I think it is, against Florida. And those are the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champs. So.
Well, yeah, and here's another thing, too, that people don't get, Tim. I know everybody thinks we survived the Sid injury and survived the Geno suspension, and they did gut it out. But still, while Sid was out, they won 4 wins, 6 losses. When Geno was out, they went 2 wins, 3 losses. That's barely surviving, if even you do want to apply that word, plus which, in the interim, the teams behind them all got red hot. At the end, we will act like that injury and suspension didn't hurt the Penguins, but it killed them. We're going to see words like choke applied, but the injury and suspension will be far bigger factors. And aging out, too, a far bigger factor. And goaltending.
All right, well, Penguin fans, that was a lot of hockey talk to start, and you always want us to talk Penguins. We're always more than willing to do so, so chime in. I'm seeing a lot of comments come in about the Pens that we'll get to. But, Mark, you did allude to the Konnor Griffin decision. The Pirates decide to put him in the minors to start the year. I get it from the standpoint of a lack of production hitting-wise in spring training.
Yeah, now hold it. Spring training don't matter.
Well, I was just going to say the numbers are...
That's what all the fans who cover the team are saying. Oh, he hit 170. Well, they genuflected every time he hit one of them bombs. I kept hearing about them bombs. 4 bombs. Hit 4 bombs. Batting practice bombs. Bomb.
Well, yeah, not only that, but other guys who hit well, like the password.
The password hit 4 something and 2 home runs and got sent down. So don't tell me the stats matter for one guy and don't for the other. But yeah, that's what we're being told.
The password, unfortunately, is Indianapolis Indians 2026 exclamation park. That's the password right there.
Well, yeah. Why did they keep that? What's that guy's name? Cook? Bino Cook?
Yes. That's an old reference. Billy Cook, yes.
This guy just can't hit. Yeah, I mean...
Haven't they suffered enough? Yes, they have, and so have we, covering them and following them.
Their bench is awful. You know what the discussion now is already, don't you?
What?
Should have kept Koch.
Oh, yeah, I'm seeing that because, well, there's another case where the numbers matter or they don't. Now they matter from Koch in Texas.
Yeah, but Billy Cook can run, correct? Mangum can run.
Oh, Mangum can really run, yeah.
Yeah, but the point is them guys don't need a walker. And again, I keep coming back to a phrase I frequently use because I like it, but it applies. You can't let your dressing room become a museum.
Well, the thing with McCutchen is, at some point, as you are alluding to here, the teams have to be able to make the decision on a player. It can't always be about the player making the decision to leave. And I know with the Steelers, It's kind of been masked a couple times with
Well,
Troy
no.
and
If you
Hines.
wait for the player to make a decision, he'll never leave unless
Right.
somewhere better and more lucrative beckons.
Yeah, and I don't know how better Texas or how much more lucrative it is with a minor league deal, but it's an opportunity for him to play, and the Pirates just didn't want to give him that opportunity because, like we're talking about, Garcia is roadblocked in their mind, although he shouldn't be, but in their mind, he's roadblocked as it is, and Kutch would have been one more step in between there.
Yeah, the Kutch thing, that's the dead issue. I'm actually regretting I brought it up, but their bench is really weak, and I would have kept Griffin. I mean, I understand why they're not. The guy's never had a single at-bat in AAA, but and only 80-some in AA, but it's an educated risk. I always come back to that phrase, whether it's Morrishoff, whether it's Griffin, an educated risk. If it pays off, your team's a lot better. If it doesn't pay off, in the case of Griffin, you just send him back down and really no harm done.
Well, the argument that's to be made on behalf of Griffin is this, and it's pretty simple, is that if you have Triolo playing shortstop and you have either Gonzalez or I guess it's York as the third baseman, are you getting that much more offense? You're certainly not getting more power. And you're taking Triolo from his best position, which is third, to a position that he still plays well, but not great at shortstop. And they're already defensively weak in the outfield. So I get it. You're sending a guy down who only hit 200 in spring training, but you're probably getting a guy who's not going to hit much more over 200 at shortstop now in Triolo. And you're getting two guys who don't play third base as well as Triolo does if he's home and over there.
Well, yeah, Gonzalez is going to start at third, right? Him or Nick York, correct?
Correct, yeah.
At least they're not doing it. Remember, it was thought they might put Gonzalez at short because Triolo's like a Gold Glove level third baseman, but this is the right move. Triolo, I mean, Gonzalez would have been the worst shortstop in the major leagues, which, come to think of it, Triolo is. But at least he can field a little.
Yeah, he can field the position.
Actually, he can field a lot.
Yeah, he can field the position fine. But, I think he'll be up soon enough. They are missing out on a little economic bump. I think it would have been smart to capitalize on the momentum, put some money aside with all the jerseys that he's going to sell and, some of the extra fannies in the seats during games where Skeens doesn't pitch. Not bad to sock away every penny possible for that team when the lockout is coming. The labor stoppage is coming at the end of the year, too. We've got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, no question. And like that, I mean, I wrote a column today. I haven't sent in yet about comparing the Griffin and Morrishoff situations. And I talked about how the overlap with Griffin and Skeens won't be much because Skeens goes to arbitration next year. At least that's what we think. I mean, the CBA could affect a lot.
Yeah.
And undo a lot of plans for that matters. But I don't think it will. I think it's going to be frighteningly similar to what we have right now, more so than people would want or think or dream about.
Before we get to the comments, Mark, have we come full circle where the spotlight is completely back on wide receiver for the Steelers in the draft? I kind of think that we have.
Tim, I said last night on the podcast, I don't care. I still don't care. I'll tell you what I did do last night. I watched Nuremberg for the second time. Russell Crowe as Herman Goering.
Yeah.
That movie should have won Academy Awards. That was the best movie I saw in 2025. No question.
I don't know if you, tell me if you know this story. You like some World War II history, and apparently this is somewhat of a real story. I saw the Peaky Blinders movie.
Right. You love Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, I like Peaky Blinders a lot. I saw the movie. It was pretty good. I mean, it felt the same way like the Breaking Bad movie did. Like, it's a postscript chapter is basically what it is.
Of course. Yeah,
very similar. But the premise behind it is the Nazis printed up a bunch of counterfeit money, and they airdropped the money into England. And the premise was, with all that money, they were going to flood the economy with counterfeit dollars and try to collapse the British economy and then win the war that way. And the Peaky Blinders, basically, they were hired guns. They would just distribute the money for whoever, even the Nazis. And then Tommy Shelby comes out of retirement and tries to stop that from happening from his kid taking it over.
That's actually a good strategy.
Yeah. I mean, apparently, I was going to ask you, apparently there was some validity to that. There was some historical reference to that.
Oh, they had a lot of nutty plans. They had plans for like a death ray where they would reflect it off a giant mirror in the sky. So they had no shortage of Wunderwaffen. Wunderwaffen is what they were called. And but no, the only thing about Nuremberg, and like I said, it's the best movie of 2025. But it's basically the relationship between Herman Goering, played by Russell Crowe, and a army-appointed psychiatrist played by Rami Malek. So you couldn't help but think it was like Gladiator meets Queen.
Freddie Mercury is helping out the Gladiator.
Right. Well, not helping him out, but yeah, it's a very good movie. I highly recommend it to anybody. I did not see the movie One Battle After Another, the DiCaprio movie that won so many Academy Awards, and I'm sure it's very good, but I find it hard to believe it's better than Nuremberg.
So at no point during the trials did Russell Crowe ever stand up and say you're not entertained. That didn't work. They couldn't work that one in.
At one point, Rami Malek told Gehring that Beelzebub had a double set aside for him.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, hammer to fall. All right, let's go to Eric. Eric says, I'm terrified. The worst-case scenario is going to come to fruition. Pens are just going to miss the playoffs. Ergo, we don't get a lot of ergos in our comments, Mark. Ergo, no playoff revenue and a crappy draft pick. I really feel that that's where it's headed. This is your big crisis point that you brought up before, too.
Well, let me tell you one thing I worry about.
Ergo.
That the minute they miss the playoffs, we hear from Sid's agent.
About how they didn't do enough?
Yeah, they need to make the playoffs. Sid deserves to be in the playoffs. Well, you got one more left on your deal. Just wait it out.
Mark
but then
says,
again, if Sid doesn't extend this offseason, then what? Do you let him go year by year? Do you take a chance on him walking?
Maybe call his bluff about how much he hates change. Is that what you're getting at?
I'm not getting at that at all. I just don't know what you do.
You extend him. I think you try to extend him, period.
You tried to, but what if you won't?
At least not for 8.7. I wonder if we're done with the 8.7 gimmick.
If Pat Brisson had his way, Sid's agent, the Penguins would trade first-round picks for old guys to try to win now and bury their team for the future because Pat doesn't care about the team's future beyond Sid.
Mark says, I think that the hope for Mershov is that he makes a deep run in the AHL playoffs. They did clinch a berth yesterday. Although Mershov hasn't started the last two games. Is he hurt or something? Bloomquist started the last two games. Or are they just trying to get a rotation there?
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean,
I assume if Mershov was hurt, I would know that. At any rate, I'll ignore that possibility so I can send my column in.
But, I would rather see him get a run in the playoffs in the National Hockey League, especially if he's their best goalie, because, again, the calculus changes when it's March Madness and you're looking up and you're in second place. Like, the whole theory of why he's down in the AHL has changed now.
It's a very precarious second place, obviously, right now. And like I've been saying all year, I knew the shootouts would come back to kill him. I knew the 3-on-3 would come back to kill him. And I knew the Sid and Gino injury and suspension, respectively, would come back to kill him. And it will have turned out to have done so. Again, people acted like 4-3-3 with Sid out was good. It was acceptable, but it wasn't good, and it got him into trouble. 2-1-2 with Gino suspended, it was acceptable, but not good, and it got him into trouble. Even what they did when those two situations overlapped, it seemed good, but it got him into trouble.
Alex says, will be a photo finish. Is Malkin retained if Pens miss the playoffs?
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so? If they miss, he's out, huh?
Well, that's what I would do. I mean,
okay. I think they're inclined to
bring
keep
him back regardless. But if they can make the playoffs again without him, no problem.
I think that they will be inclined to keep him because of some of the things.
I think they will. Well, put it this way though, I wouldn't keep Gino if Sid doesn't extend.
If Sid doesn't extend, yeah, I mean, you could use that as sort of a sidebar bargaining chip. Is that what you're getting at?
Well, blackmail's the better word.
Okay. Eric says, do you think the goaltending rotation is affecting the goalies not being able to get any traction, or are they both just stink?
No, I think with mediocre goaltenders, the rotation benefits. But now if they don't call up Morozov, which they will not do, but now I would lean on Shilov because he's been the better goalie. I don't have the stats in front of me, but one I remember is that stretch over which Skinner is 1, 2, and 5. Shilov's is 6 and 3. So there you go.
Richard says, recent rare shootout wins aside, all those lost points may just come back to bite the Pens if they just missed the playoffs. They look mentally and physically exhausted against Carolina, and the schedule continues to be brutal. The second part I agree with. It's not all those missed points. Like, you just got to split the shootout points. Like, what are they, -4 right now in shootouts?
No,
so
they're 2 and 10. I mean,
but I mean, like, yeah.
If they were even like 4 and 8, like 5 and 7, that'd be in a really good spot.
But I'm saying if you split the shootout points is what I'm saying. If you get 4 out of the 8, like, because they're 8 games worse in the shootout. Like you said, they're right. 2 and 10. So if you split those, you get 4 additional points. they're sitting pretty right now for the playoffs.
With
So
the amount of games left, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not. You don't have to get all.
I wonder if they're sorry that they didn't sub Shilovs out in the shootout more, because he's awful in the shootout. Though he did win Saturday, but see, here's the thing: if you told them, like the coach, the captain, the GM, okay, if you would sub out Shilovs in the shootout, which is a tongue twister, you would get half as many wins as losses. Like instead of 2-10, you'd be 6-6. They would tell you, no, we're not embarrassing our goalie. They would tell you that. That's just not how it's done, because hockey people cling to protocol.
Phil says, agreed to, this is talking about the Kulak-Girard thing. That's a hard to understand trade and the reasoning behind it. Well,
no, it's not.
Like Mark talked about it before. I just think the biggest variable in that, the X factor that we had to talk about a little bit more, is how it impacted Letang. Kulak was good with Letang. And
Letang was okay over the weekend.
Okay. Well, better than what he had been before they came back home. He was struggling.
38, 39. I mean, he's just is what he is. I wish he would temper his game a bit more to compensate for what he's lost due to age, but he's just not going to.
Jay says Pens have to do right by Gino. If he wants 3 years, give him 3 years.
Shut up. Get this guy off the screen. Don't want to address. That's just stupid. Do right by Gino. F that. They pay Gino. He's won cups here. They've given him good line mates. They've done everything they need to do. Same thing with Sid. It's about the team, about the logo. I bet you have a 71 jersey in your closet, and I bet when you wear it, it's all you're wearing.
2 years. When people started talking about 2 years.
2 years, 1 year, a year at a time. This idiot probably wanted the Steelers to give Watt that deal when they could have managed his decline a year at a time, which now is just cataclysmically disastrous for the Steelers, but nobody talks about that. By the way, Tim, with the goaltending doesn't stink per se, although there have been moments recently when Skinner has stunk, but it never steals a game. And it's in that regard, it's no better than Jari. It never steals a game. And like Saturday, here's a rare, like sometimes a player, like a skater can take over a game and steal it. Carlson did that. Carlson stole the Jets game. The Jets outplayed the Penguins. Carlson stole it. A skater can do that. A forward can fairly often do it. A defenseman almost never does it. That was some Bobby Orr level crap right there.
Pete says, seems like when Gino is on the ice, he either turns the puck over, takes a penalty, or scores a goal. It's the Gino experience.
Gino's playing okay. Like people always say, you hate Gino. Gino's playing okay. I just wouldn't give him a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal or maybe even a 1-year deal.
And we'll end with Mark, who says, from the eye test, I feel like Skinner's played better than Shilov's, but I'll defer.
It's just stupid. Another stupid guy who doesn't know what he's watching.
It's gotten worse over the course of the last couple of weeks for Skinner. And yeah, Skinner makes these dynamic, crazy saves like he did against Carolina, but those don't fish the other pucks out of the net. That's the problem.
Well, you know why people like Skinner? Because you can yell his name, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah, Stu is easier to yell than Artie or Archers.
That's like, there's a couple guys for Liverpool who are struggling mightily right now. There's a few guys for Liverpool that are just like one for Fede Chiesa from Italy. They have a great song for him. He barely plays. When he does, he stinks. But they all want him to play more because of the song.
Mark, have we solved the boat situation for you to get to your North Shore appearance yet? Are we starting to get the wheels turning on this to get you down the river?
No, not yet. Tim, I got to tell you, like even Friday when I do the show at the studio in Bridgeville, how am I going to get there?
I don't know. I
mean, I got to tell you, I'm going to tell my bosses, listen, if I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. I mean, like, how am I supposed to get to Station Square on Thursday, the first day of the draft? How am I supposed to do that if not by boat?
You know, when I was in Boston,
There's going to be, 700,000 additional people in Pittsburgh? And I got to drive through the heart of that?
I was in Boston once, Mark, and I know that Tom Brady helicoptered from Brookline to the North Shore of Boston. Like, just went over in a helicopter, like what should be a 20-minute drive, 25-minute drive, but in rush hour, probably would have taken an hour and a half. That's what we should do for you. We should get you your own Mark Madden shopper to get you to Bridgeville.
I should have followed my first instincts and gone to Crystal Palace at Liverpool. And I may yet. I may yet. Maybe I could borrow a Messerschmitt from Russell Crowe.
Mark Madden, he'll be on today at 2 o'clock. No Tommy Radio. Congratulations to Tom. He had his baby. So
yeah, and wait, now hold it. Congratulations to him and his baby. But that's leaving me high and dry.
For a second person for the 2 o'clock hour, you mean, right?
Yes. What about me? What about Madden?
Can you make somebody else do it? Is there anybody else in the building that can do it that you can recruit at the last minute? What about West? But then you'd have to talk about the draft, or Williamson. You'd have to talk about the draft for 2 hours.
Yeah, so that's out.
Make Pursuit stay from 10 o'clock on.
Yeah, I'm
like
not kidding. Like my ratings will probably plummet. I can't see me talking about the draft at all.
No,
I mean, like, I just not interested. And at my age, and with my great accomplishment in the rearview mirror, don't I have the right to just talk about what I'm interested in?
Yes, sure. Go ahead. I mean, like, talk about Nuremberg.
Oh, believe me, the draft will be far worse than Nuremberg. Far bigger of like. Although I'll tell you, people need to watch that movie. That was not an open and shut case, despite what the Nazis did, because it was the first time of an international military tribunal putting war criminals on trial. There was no format for it, ergo no guaranteed result. And those who prosecuted did just. Michael Shannon played, I forget the guy's name. He became a Supreme Court justice. He played the U.S. prosecuting attorney, and he was brilliant in the role.
It's the same reason why Radko Gudas only got a 5-game suspension.
Very similar. Well, I hate to equate that, but like Goering was all those Nazis were really smart, and they could outwit you on the stand.
Yes,
that didn't happen.
No, I've seen the one with the raw footage that Netflix did last year, where they went back and read through Rami Malek's. No, not that. It was the guy who covered it for CBS News.
Right.
And basically, they read his diary. That was fascinating. That was fascinating stuff.
Right, and the guy that Rami Malek played, the psychiatrist, wrote a book, and then when he did his book tour, and this is in the movie, he said stuff like, "This could happen in America if you offered, a lot of Americans a chance to kill half the population to control the other half, they'd take it." And he fell into disgrace because they thought that was anti-Americanism. But hey, look around right now.
On that note,
killing anybody, but it ain't far from it.
On that note, we wrap up Madden Benz Unfiltered. We're going to work on Mark's boat tour to get down to the North Shore and the helicopter ride. One way or another, we'll try to get it done for you, Mark. And if not, then it's off to Crystal Palace.
Maybe I could get no. It's a home game, Tim Anfield. Maybe I could get Das Boot and sink the good ship Lollipop.
We'll be back next week, we think, for Madden Benz Unfiltered. Make sure you check us out right here. Mark's on at 2 o'clock today. Again, congratulations to Tom. And we'll check it again with you guys next week.
Get back to work.
Trib Sports.